Muruganar. History has recorded the illustrious lives of saints like Jnanasambandhar, Meerabhai, and Andal, whose time on earth culminated in their being absorbed into a flame and merging with the Lord. However, one of Bhagavan's devotees, a remarkable poet-saint, began his spiritual life with the darshan of a huge flame on his very first meeting with his guru in 1923 at Ramanashramam. In subsequent days, whenever he looked at Bhagavan, he saw a luminosity surrounding the holy form. This devotee was Muruganar, a Tamil poet who was held in the highest esteem by the Tamil community. As a renowned Tamil teacher and scholar, he actively served in a committee of Tamil scholars who were engaged in the tremendous task of preparing volumes of the first Tamil lexicon. Muruganar was deeply devoted to Lord Shiva. He spent much of his time reading Tiruvachakam, a poetic outpouring of ecstasy experienced by Manikavachakar, a saint and devotee of Shiva who lived 700 years ago. Whenever he read it, he would yearn for the same ecstasy and fulfillment that Manikavachakar felt in his Shiva Bhakti. It was around this time that his father-in-law, Dandapani Swami, presented him with two books written by Bhagavan, Who Am I and Arunachala Stuti Panchakam, the former a work on Jnana Marga and the latter an outpouring of devotional songs drenched in bhakti. He read them many times over and soon learnt from his friends that Bhagavan was in a state of constant non-dual state of jnana that was unheard of in recent times. Muruganar felt a deep longing to visit and serve this saint and receive his blessings in the form of divine ecstasy. He left for Tiruvannamalai, and as soon as he reached the Arunachaleshwara temple, he wrote 11 extempore verses in praise of Bhagavan, addressing him as Shiva. Then he went to Ramanashramam, which in September 1923 was only a few thatched sheds. Just as auspicious events are heralded by signs, before he went in, Bhagavan himself came out. This is how Muruganar describes his first darshan. When I looked at the entrance, I saw a brilliant light, a jyoti, a huge flame that blinded my eyes. Ecstatically, I tried to read out the verses I had written, but profuse tears prevented this. Then from the flame emerged a human form, Bhagavan. He asked me to hand him over the paper I was holding. Bhagavan read the poems aloud and remarked, "This reads just like Tiruvachakam. Why not continue writing like Manikavachakar?" Bhagavan then looked deeply at me. After a while, I returned to normal consciousness. With devotion welling up and all joy and gratitude, I looked up at Bhagavan. Those gracious eyes of Bhagavan pierced through me, opening me instantly into a state of bliss that I had never experienced before. That look of Bhagavan unleashed ecstatic poetry in my heart. From then on, hundreds and hundreds of poems began to gush forth. I would place them before Bhagavan, and he would edit them. Muruganar was choked with emotion when he narrated this to me. It was a great spiritual experience for me that day. Instantly, he added, Bhagavan became my God, my master. I was wholly convinced that Bhagavan was a manifestation of Lord Shiva himself, and as my new owner, he made my eye and my mind his own. In the same way that wax melts on encountering fire, on seeing Bhagavan, my mind dissolved and lost its separate form. Like a calf that had found its mother, my heart rejoiced at his holy feet. Devotion surged in me like an ocean that has seen the full moon. It is a truth to be rejoiced over by serious seekers that the divine communion between the illuminating Guru and the illustrious disciple was sealed and sanctified that day. For Muruganar, this instantaneous communion was the inauguration of his spiritual life at a very high level. He worked in Chennai as a teacher to support his mother and wife and had to go back to work. After 3 months, he returned. When he looked at Bhagavan, he again had the vision of luminosity enveloping his form. By this time, Muruganar was completely enveloped in the ocean of Bhagavan's grace. But he still had to travel between Arunachal and Chennai because of his responsibilities. He was deeply attached to his mother. Muruganar once told me that he was torn between his devotion to his master and his affection for his mother. It was literally quite difficult for him to be on time to catch the train back to Chennai, lost as he was in his state of ecstasy. Sometimes, with tears of bliss streaming down his face, he would literally walk backwards the 3 miles from the ashram to the railway station and roam about on the platform. The train would arrive and depart, with him being blissfully unaware of it. On being told by a porter or the station master that the train had left, he would come back to Bhagavan, his eyes brimming with tears of ecstasy. When Bhagavan saw this was happening repeatedly, he asked Kunju Swami or Vishwanatha Swami to accompany Muruganar with specific instructions, put him on the train and return to the ashram only after the train leaves.